Afternoon. You're a parrot, same as a statist you dislike. I try to avoid calling people things like that, but in the spirit of those whom advocate liberty and freedom and voluntarism and self ownership, in the spirit of those individuals who also abide by the idea that they just call it like they see it, I'd like to share something with you. The crowd gathers as the speaker begins. 2 times 2 is 4, says the speaker. The crowd murmurs in acceptance. 3 times 3 is 9, the speaker continues. The crowd murmurs a little more. The speaker continues on for some time. 4 times 4 is 16. 5 times 5 is 25. 6 times 6 is 36. 7 times 7 is 49. And 8 times 8 is 64. The crowd is just eating this speech up. Nothing has been this marvelous since each member of the crowd's childhood Christmas mornings opening up any quantity of gifts they had nothing more to do than wake up for in order to receive. So as the speaker continues telling the audience what it can verify, the complication of the things being relayed suddenly changes. 346 times 851 equals 354,047. The crowd goes absolutely berserk. There is cheering. There is congratulations towards the speaker. There is just absolute celebration of a group of people so proud to be witnessing the wonders before them. But it's all a sham. 346 times 851 is 2,094,446, not 354,047. The speaker duped all of the people in the crowd. The speaker cheated his audience. He led them to believe he was credible. So what went wrong? The truth is that this applies to everything we do in our lives. Many in the liberty movements will vehemently swear this applies or this fits the narrative of the quote statists perfectly. However, I actually had this in mind with the liberty movement instead when I crafted that scenario. Why? Because it is easy to jump to conclusions and be misled is why. Being misled is something that happens to everyone regardless of political ideology. It doesn't matter if it is pro-government or anti-government. It doesn't matter if it is pro-voluntarism and non-aggression principle or pro-party politics and necessary evils. What matters is defining context for clarity and understanding how to break down ideas. Basically, this is entirely about regurgitating and memorizing facts and ideas to repeat them later. And guess what? The liberty movement is guilty of this too. That's how the crowd was cheated. It's easy to be misled when we do that. In order to avoid such things in this scenario, the crowd needs to understand how addition and subtraction works prior to learning the rules of multiplication and division. By understanding those rules, it is easy to break down multiplication problems. When this is understood, it becomes apparent that 346 times 851 is nothing more than 346 groups of 851 that need to be added together. Do you see how that works? Then understanding how addition and subtraction works requires understanding how counting works. And counting works because of how we label quantities and in which order these should appear, okay, in terms of quantity. From none to more or most to none. But why do we label quantities? To organize is why we label quantities. And we organize for control of concepts to aid in our manipulation of interaction of our surroundings, including other people, whether it's to manipulate them or peacefully interact with them. Are you following so far? Both proponents of government and advocates of liberty are guilty of these mistakes. They find something they agree with, witness another stating something that seems to match what their sentiment of thought progression follows, and voila. Political party activists cheer for Trump about border security. Political party activists cheer for Hillary about welfare programs. Political party activists cheer for Gary Johnson about fiscal responsibility. And dissenters of government cheer and spread the message of anti-government from individuals such as Rose, Molyneux, Cantwell, Kokesh, and more. But at least spreading knowledge about how government is the problem is a good thing, says the naysayer to my argument. Well, yes and no. Do you like being called a parrot as an advocate of freedom? Probably not. I'd venture to guess not. In fact, you probably take at least a mild offense to such a label, and that is the same minimal feeling an advocate of government would walk away with. However, by the logic of so many advocates of freedom, liberty, self-ownership, and voluntarism, it is a justly applied label. This is true by the logic of calling things as they are. Don't like being called a stater tot? Don't advocate government. Don't like being called a parrot? Don't repeat things that you can't readily explain as simply as possible when asked without telling others to read a specific book or listen to some content that helped you understand in sentiment, but not necessarily in-depth detail enough to explain, unless it's your own content. But why is that important? Long story short, it's about backing up the checks your mouth writes with your previous intellectual labors. If we promote something and can't explain it, then we have two options. Explain it in detail to ensure the audience has the utmost clarity, or simply relay that you don't know how to understand, but feel it to be right. There is nothing wrong with the truth, except to those whom want to promote the ideology as definitive answers. And these definitive answers are often seen as strength, while admission of nescience, or simply not knowing, is a sign of weakness. Are you starting to follow my path of thought here? It's easy to call someone a sociopath, a statist, a parrot, or even a racist and a bigot. It's far more difficult to understand the context of why people do what they do in order to understand their position better. If someone is labeled a sociopath, then the question is why? Is it because they like to control others? If so, why do they like or want to prefer to control others? The answer to the second question is not because they are sociopaths. The answer to the second question is the context of why those individuals make the choices they do. This is the entire fault with those whom follow others blindly. And guess what? These people exist in both camps of freedom and slavery, of government and no government. These people refuse to break down concepts and scapegoat other choices in their lives such as children, finances, and entertainment. But why do they do that? That's the question. It's okay to say no one knows why. Okay? It's okay to not understand. It's not okay to scapegoat some other reason. But to label someone as something and not be able to explain why that label is given becomes an intellectual roadblock. It actually discredits you as an individual because people want clarity. Even if they're not in the moment willing to accept it, offering clarity is a sign of strength. Clarity, even though taking oftentimes more time to understand, will always beat out rhetoric in the long run. These people who refuse to break down concepts and scapegoat their other life choices, they're in every camp as well. Okay? So, placing a label on someone and simply stating that they are such because they support government or they want to control others or even that they only repeat things is not enough. So before beginning to promote what we want to see in the world, it is a rather good idea and of sound advice to understand how to break down concepts. Understand the things in the world we want to promote, disassociate with, and not support beyond labeling them things that often come across as derogatory. Be willing to entertain questions and not immediately assume that the questions are meant to destroy or disrupt. Make sure that you fully understand what you are promoting or be willing to admit that you don't. Take a stand in your own mind and be ready when others take a stand, either against you or with you. Just remember that comprehension brings clarity, peace, and stability. Without comprehension, inquiries into our promoted philosophies often seem like attacks, when in reality, they're nothing more than honest inquiries and constructive criticism. So, are you a parrot? Or are you an individual capable of teaching others? That's what freedom is all about. Communication. If you've enjoyed this work and you would like to encourage more of it, find out more about all of my works, as I based all of my works on previous posts and content I've created in 2 books and multiple audio programs. Download and read for free Liberty and Morality Defined at smashwords.com, barnesandnobles.com, and other retailers. Listen to my Liberty and Morality audio series on YouTube, and you can find those links there on facebook.com/libertydefined and at my website, jimlimberdavis.com. Also, if you really want to encourage more about more works like this, please donate at my website, jimlimberdavis.com.